everybody. This is Jennifer Way, and it's been a really long time. I've missed doing this. I just completely stopped and shut everything down in August. I needed to take that time to retreat, really go into a little hole, keep my energy directed and focused towards my priorities right now, which was my family. And I'm sure many women can identify with that. Kids right now, it's not as easy as just putting them in front of a screen. There's a ton of emotional labor that has to happen right now, and all the moms know it, and a couple of dads too. But, you know, we're living in 3D. We keep being reminded that when we take that step back, that we're not actually being productive or doing anything, when in fact, we're doing everything. Everything. Dishes, cooking, car repair, laundry, groceries, Band-Aids, hugs, listening. We can't really think of ourselves first. And that takes a lot of energy. So to all the other moms out there, or anyone who's caring for another family member, it has to be our main job right now. So that brings me to this video, which honestly, I already had a meeting and I had makeup on and I was like, all right, fine. I'll show myself, because I've been hiding. I've been hiding. I tapped in to find out what I could talk to you about today. Really what's kind of an urgent message for the collective. You know, as some of you may heard who do follow energy workers, healers, there's so many workshops out there. You know, what I like to call what's happening is, I want to call it perception upgrades. So everything in our perception is expanding. So that includes everything having to do with intuition or psychic ability. We're all experiencing perception upgrades. When you have an upgrade in your perception, it's very jarring and it throws you off completely, because anything that you might still be holding on to, there's just no room for it anymore. Any interaction you have with 3D, and some of us are just steeped in it. It's not like we can go off and hang out in 5D unless we want to sleep all day. And I know that we can't do that right now. A lot of us are kind of wading through the mud of all this 3D junk, and we're feeling the effects of it. When we come across people or situations that are heavily anchored in 3D, this is going to bring about suffering. It's going to bring about denial, and we're just going to really meet a lot of resistance. We are reworking our future. And this is not a short or easy process. We always held the future as a concept or as a hope. If we were to move to higher dimensions of existence, we have to remove the weights that are holding us down. And this is going to be an individual thing for each person. It's going to be a different thing for each person. Our expansion depends on conscious movement, on conscious evolution. We are different beings now. We're gonna continue to adapt and to change, but it's no more just a function of getting by. There's no place to hide. We can't just get by anymore. Everything has to be conscious. Every interaction, every choice. Now, by conscious, really all this means is just checking in with yourself. Understanding all perspectives, or as many as you possibly can, or even understanding your own perspective in a deeper and more truthful and authentic way. Living with integrity. honestly, like, we have skewed our relationship to ourselves. And I'm seeing a lot of this right now. If we're not careful, we're just going to further separate our souls from our body when we're in that state of anxiety and we're, like, what's going to happen? It's like we're in a free fall right now. We can't function in yesterday's society anymore. We are experiencing real heartbreak and loss. I always talk a lot about communication and like the words that we use, and especially with social media and, management speak and all that stuff. I feel like those words, again, they've lost their potency. They've lost their meaning. We can hear these right words all the time, over and over, but it doesn't mean anything if we don't feel the sentiment behind it. You've gotten to that point before in your life where you've heard something over and over, over and over. And then you get to that point in your life where you actually feel that lesson and you're like, oh, I get it now. It's no longer effective to just hear the words wash over you and just fall to the floor. Unless you're receiving the sentiment, it's going to be ineffective and it's not going to change anything. And though I will say that, like, we're making good efforts in sort of wellness and consciousness and all that kind of thing, it's not a bad thing. Like, we're getting there. We have to start somewhere. So I'm not like completely disappointed by everything that I'm seeing out there. Only just like a little bit. Existence, as we know it, is very simply meeting parts of ourselves. This goes two ways: meeting parts within ourselves and accepting them, and meeting ourselves through other people, through the reflection that other people are providing for us. That can be a reflection of ourselves, our subconscious behaviors that maybe we're not realizing that we're putting out there. People are going to experience this from us, and they're going to reflect something that is a gift because it's allowing us to meet ourselves. This is the whole point of existence. This is why Source broke apart in the first place, to meet itself. I feel like the word projection is becoming one of these words that's like overused and sort of frowned upon, like, don't project onto me, stop projecting onto me. I've heard that a lot. And I feel like projection is what we do. This is what humans do. Like, unless we're joining our souls completely, we're gonna project shit onto other people. Like, and we're only getting more disconnected. So yeah, of course we're gonna be projecting. And it's not super fair to do that. And as long as you're aware that you might be projecting, and that's okay, you can kind of express that. But projection is like a natural state of being a human right now. I mean, this is something that we all do. I mean, we project an idea onto the world. We project an expectation of what people are supposed to be doing and saying. This is the source of a lot of our anger and frustration. We're projecting ourselves onto other people, but that's what we do. So like, let's stop calling each other out for it and just like actually accept it and just start taking responsibility for it. That's all you can really do. But it's a big function of like how we're operating right now. I'm not saying that it's going to last forever, but all we can do is just be aware. Meeting parts of ourselves is why we move. It's why we vibrate. It's why we live. I've said this before, it's a matter of moving, with attraction or aversion. And those two things can even be broken down a little bit further. So if your subconscious is attracted to something, your conscious movement might be aversion. And if you have an aversion to something, your subconscious might be pulling you closer to it, perhaps to learn a quicker lesson. So be aware of how your subconscious and your conscious mind deal with attraction and aversion, because sometimes when you drill down to your attraction to something that you're like, what? Maybe it's because you actually deep down have an aversion to it Find out why you have that aversion. But that's the breakdown. So moving forward in 3D, because this is where we are right now. Someone's told me recently, and I believe her with this, there's not really room and acceptance for the kind of work that I do right now. I've given away lots of sessions and readings. I've talked to a lot of people. I've given a lot of myself to this work. I had to stop so that I can receive more for the work that I'm doing, but I agree with this person when she said, I don't think the world is ready for this kind of work yet. I think the kind of work that we have to do is really based in 3D. We can, in our altered states and in our moments of being awake, we can go up into 5D and we can bring back the lessons and we can start weaving the two together, because that's what we're doing. But being in 3D means that we have to kind of get clear. We have to be conscious of our time and our focus. We need to pay attention. And this is really how we can be more effective in 3D. But our next step to this is focusing and also being consciously, personally, intimately connected. We have to balance 3D with a little bit more heart. We have to experience our emotions consciously. And we have to have an appreciation for the truth. You know, one of my observations is a lot of people, not all, definitely there's exceptions, but many people who are super effective in the material world, like business and, you know, like hustlers and go-getters and those kinds of people, I've recognized that sometimes they're not able to connect personally. And it's like a safe distance. And they're actually super successful. I think this concept of creating more connection, it just has to go beyond the word of it. It's just to go beyond the hashtag of it. You know, conscious connection is moving slowly. It's moving at a pace where you're not trying to rush through something that's unpleasant. We can't rush through all this shit. We can't. Like, we can try to outrun this misery, but it's like there's just no choice anymore. We don't have time for this baggage anymore. But we do have to move forward consciously in connection to other people. Teal Swan said something really great. You know, I've been reading way too much social media, all the things I warned against in my earlier videos. There's this idea that, like, you know, don't expect happiness through other people. Don't expect making yourself happy from other people. You know, you've got to be happy on your own so that if you're alone, you never have to depend or rely on somebody. I completely disagree with this. I'm definitely more of the Teal Swan school of thought, which is misery needs company. You know, what the fuck are we all here together for? We're here to help each other through all this. And it's not enough to just give lip service to it anymore. You know, we have to be active within what we are passionate about, because that's where it's going to be the most potent, and that's where it's going to do the most. Whatever you're most interested in. I mean, this is the old story of everything that I've been preaching. But, you know, being conscious is also being aware that I needed to fucking take like 3 months off. I needed to stuff my face with horrible processed food. I must have. I must have needed to. But I forgive myself for it. I'm trying to ground in a way that, like, I can't find it anywhere. You know, there's only so much nature you can bring into your world. And yeah, you have to do it on a daily basis, but sometimes you just want to say, fuck it. You know, I'm tired. I want to go hide. And that's where I was, for sure. Finding conscious connection and community has to be a part of your reality right now, because it's happening in some respects. I see it happening for certain groups of people, but it's not reaching all of us because this time it's not going to go by quickly. We just had a massive shift and we're going to continue to shift. We are becoming different human beings. But we have a choice to become better human beings. Take responsibility for whatever your expectations are that might be bringing you suffering. Because we don't have to suffer. I feel like that's a big part of being in 3D. This notion that anything worth it or life in general has to involve suffering. We're losing our connection. We're overwhelmed living this way. We're just overwhelmed. The worry, the not knowing what's going to happen. But the reality is, we've never known. We had a false sense of security. It's scary. Final words. Consciously accept this reality. Accept the grief. Accept the sadness. But get yourself into a realistic space where your emotions can breathe. And then meet them. I'm sending you so much love. I'm going to return to this weekly. Hopefully. We'll see. Got a lot of new sweaters I need to wear. Love you. Have a great week.